Welcome to the neighborhood, YouTube family. Wait. Cut to the beat.
Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Welcome back.
Yeah, man, how you doing? You good? I know you like that. I know you like that. How long you been back, man? I see the girls in the club, they getting wild for me. And all the pretty chicks all wanna smile at me. These rap cats, man, they all got this style for me. And if I ever see them, man, they probably bow to me. And when this beat drop, I know they gon' lean. World debut.
Hey, what's up? If you're new here and this is your first time seeing my face, hi, my name is Mark. Please remember to slash that like button, and also please remember to annihilate that subscribe button and hit that post notification bell. And also, you guys know I live for the comments down below. But let's just jump straight into these reactions. Let's go. Okay, so before we get into this reaction, huge shout out to and yes, like the picture says, you guys are the real MVPs. So look, I'm not gonna hold y'all. We are back to react to our bro Jelly Roll with Tears Could Talk featuring Bailee Ann. And I'm definitely anxious to react to this track, especially because after I did the Save Me reaction, and I loved how Jelly Roll just snapped and just gave pure raw talent and vocals and just basically annihilated that track, especially because he really tapped into his vulnerable side and was very transparent and let you basically into his life and into his world to basically see all the things that affect him and what's going on around him. So I definitely cannot wait to hear how this sounds. And from the looks of it, from this thumbnail, it looks like Bailee Ann is maybe his daughter. I'm not 100% sure, so somebody let me know in the comments below about that. But I'm not gonna hold y'all. I just want to see what Jelly Roll is about to do on this track with Bailee Ann. So we just gonna jump straight into it. Let's go. Okay. 1999. So is that a school, or is it 1999 has some like significance to him? I'm wondering. Somebody let me know.
Lately I've been reflecting.
Hey.
This intersection, can't figure which way to go to get myself out this depression.
Woo.
Wondering if it's worth it. Wondering while I'm searching. Wondering if I'll find out that nothing is ever perfect. If God can hear me. Never felt more deserted. Feel like I'll never flourish. I've never felt more discouraged. Gotta be more to life than just living and dying. A cloud of smoke behind me now because the bridge is on fire. I used to think it was cool to hustle, but now I know that I can't buy my way to heaven with the drugs I sold. Won't you gather wait for me, cause I got both eyes closed. And if Moses can part the sea, then help me just let go.
Can I say that I love this, because I love how Jelly Roll just attacked this track. And what is crazy is because I already came in with like a preconceived notion that Jelly Roll was actually just gonna give pure raw vocals, but to see this side of him giving like the bars and the punchline and just going in and just like executing so well with it by just tapping into this inner rap like demon that sits like and beast with inside him, and to let it all out on his track and basically tap into and occupy this space of like the greats like Nas, Jay-Z, Biggie, Tupac. All of them are great rappers and storytellers of painting pictures and letting you inside their life, where we kind of like deviated like in this present time where you have all these microwavable popcorn rappers out here that's just rapping about each and all the same thing like on a daily basis. They're very cookie cutter, like everybody sounds the same, everybody looks the same, everybody's talking about the same basically basic topics, and that's money, how wet this can get, how tight this can get, what type of trick it can do, it can ride it like a bicycle, like all of that, being naked on screen. Like there's no artist that's really tapping into artistry and being creative without selling sex or just talking about drugs and basically how many women they have or how many cars they got and how much money they have and just flossing and how much jewelry they have, or just like being on some type of drug or just something and just like glorifying that and making it cool. And I love that Jelly Roll is basically tapping into what our greats used to do basically, in the past of basically storytelling and speaking about real life issues that affect us. Like, he's tapping into like a real vulnerable state, and I can really appreciate that because that's making him very transparent as an artist and as a person, and it makes you connect with him because you could be like, damn, he went through the same things I've went through, or like I know someone who went through that, so that makes it more relatable. Like, you know how like when you sit there and think about people who are in professional fields, like where you have like counselors, and like you feel like there's like a disconnect with them people because yeah, they went to school and they have that paper, but they don't have basically the mind frame, basically like they don't have like the personal experience, so to speak, basically like other people who basically have that real life experience, if that makes sense, who have basically been through those situations, and can basically relate to it because they are very up close and personal and those things have happened to them. But let's jump back into this.
If these tears could talk, I wonder what they'd say.
Hey.
All the times we lost, we lose ourselves along the way. If these tears could talk, if these tears could talk.
And I also like that hook too, basically with him saying about if these tears could talk, because it basically takes me back to when I actually wrote a poem when I was younger, basically when I used writing and poetry as a way to cope and deal with like the harsh realities that I went on within my life with my biological mother and my biological father, with my biological father being like a big drug dealer, and then also my mother being like a prostitute, and basically really having like a real bad drug addiction and alcohol addiction, where it was to the point where she like sold our food stamps for drugs. So there was times I wasn't able to eat, and if I was able to eat, it was me having to pick through garbages so I could feed myself because there wasn't no food in the house, because basically the money that we got from the government, basically she was utilizing that with those old food, you know, like the old food stamp booklets with the that look like money, like Canadian money, if you've ever been to Canada, like that. She was selling those for cash to be able to buy her drugs and alcohol to support her habit. But what I paused it for was from when he was speaking about tears could talk, was basically when I was younger, it reminded me of like a stanza within my poem when I was saying my eye sockets are pregnant, giving birth to tears of sorrow, meaning basically my eyes were being so over flooded with pain, emotion, hate, and just so many different like emotions like that were affecting me on a daily basis, that it was basically like giving that imagery of they're giving birth to tears of sorrow, like they're leaving the birth canal, which is my eyelids, and being born into the world, giving and just streaming down my face, giving birth to tears of sorrow, basically of what I was saying. And I just love the imagery that he was able to paint, and how I'm able to make myself more tangible to his music and be like, yo, like we basically both were speaking about two different things, but they're almost basically very synonymous and similar, if that makes sense. Let's jump back into this.
If my tears could talk, I wonder what they'd say. Mama's got an addiction, but running for way too long.
Hey.
She been playing the same old game, and she hasn't been the same since little. She used to be my shoulder to cry.
Snap queen, let's go.
Nobody was there to save me. I used to be mama's little baby, but now
Come on.
not like she's the villain. She was disguised as the Joker. Now I'm feeling like I'm Batman when I'm looking in the mirror, and my vision's clearer. Landed my truth, I'm living under a rock. Balls on my heart, I need a key for the lock. If tears could really talk, here's the story they would tell. Now listen closely as my tears begin to yell.
Ooh, bar. I love that. She snapped right there. And what I love about this part, at least in her perspective, she basically gave the child aspect. Jelly Roll is given basically the adult aspect of going through pain and navigating through life, and she's given that child perspective of giving children voices, basically through her words, of basically her pain, her suffering, and basically speaking upon that and being a voice for those children who may feel like they don't have a voice, who may feel like they have the words to change a nation, but they can't, because they feel like their voice is too young, or too not too loud, or they're too shy to feel like they can project their voice to be heard and to be seen and to let people know that they are under attack. And I love that she was able to utilize this platform and this song to speak about how she is as a child who's navigating this life, and what her tears could do if they could talk. And she was basically speaking about, and that's what I feel like makes me draw so close to her, because I basically had to deal with that within my life, what Bailee had to do, where we had to be children, but we had to grow up at such a young age, because we basically had to be the parents while our parents were still living in this victim mindset, was still living in this child mentality where they felt like they couldn't take care of themselves because they were suffering and they were going through that hurt. So we basically had to be that shoulder to cry on. We had to be their crutch to hold them up, to get them to walk again. So we had to lose our lives as children to be those adults. And I don't know her story personally, but I know for me personally, at 2 to 3 months old, I basically had to be adult, and the only thing I could say was goo goo gaga and drink milk and fart and poop and pee. Like, that's all I could sit there and do at that age. But being abandoned by my mother, I basically had to grow up and navigate this life by myself, even though I had my great grandmother like until my 11th birthday, when she passed of breast cancer. I went back with my mother, and then I still went back into that same repeat cycle of hurt, pain, devastation, agony, and it's a repeat cycle, and you have to break that cycle. And it's like a trifecta almost, like you have to try to break free and break that bond and try to take your trajectory up and feel like there's something positive to sit there and look for. And I love that she was able to express that and just snap the way that she did. But let's jump back into this.
If these tears could talk, I wonder what they'd say. All the times we lost,
And I love how this is in a church setting.
if these tears could talk,
Her face looks familiar. Where's her face from?
tears could talk, if my tears could talk.
And I love that they're in a church, because it's like repenting and trying to turn your life over.
If these tears could talk, I wonder what they'd say.
Oh wow, so they using, I like this because it's almost like they're basically turning all their demons over to God. It seems like everything that affected them and made them feel the way that they feel and live in this despair and hurt, they're turning it all over to God by bringing it to the altar. I think that that's dope and creative that he was able to incorporate that in this track. Let's jump back into this.
All the times we lost, we lose ourselves along the way. If these tears could talk, if these tears could talk, if
Oh wow.
tears could talk, I wonder what they'd say.
He killed that. They killed that. That was definitely a body. I love this. I love this track. Okay, so let's quickly talk about Jelly Roll with Tears Can Talk featuring Bailee Ann. And I'm not going to hold you guys too much longer because I pretty much said what I wanted to say throughout the reaction, and it was kind of long already. But I do want to sit there and say that this was a body. They absolutely killed this track. I loved it. I love the vulnerability that both of them showcased. Like I said, I love that Jelly Roll presented the grown-up aspect, the adult aspect of adulting and having to deal through and navigate through life. But then I also love how Bailee Ann basically stepped into that child role and basically was a voice for the children who basically have that voice. I was just saying of how their pain and agony stems from their parents and the choices that they make, and how they are living through it and how they're navigating through that. And that's where I can basically feel like I can draw from both of them and relate to both of them, because I was both of them. I am both of them. I was her when I was a child, and I'm him now. And speaking from that aspect of that hurt, pain, and agony. And I basically did that in my Icy Hell poem, like I said before, in a couple of other previous reaction videos. And it's also on the channel under the Mark Under the Microscope, if you want to check the poem out that I did. And basically spoke about, I think I wrote it when I was like, if I'm not mistaken, I think I wrote it when I was 15. years old. And it was basically me stepping in the shoes of my mother, and basically how the world viewed her. Like, no matter how much hurt and pain that I'm going through, I still had to sit there and step outside myself, because if I'm gonna be selfish and not sit there and see the world through her eyes and how people view her, then what type of growth am I doing? Because it's like I can sit there all day long and say, oh, this is affecting me, you did this to me, and point the finger and do this. But I have to also, what takes growth and basically accountability is you stepping outside yourself and be like, and seeing how the world views that person. So basically in my Icy Hell poem, I stepped outside myself and the hurt and pain that I was dealing with, and stepped in my mom's shoes and basically told a story through her eyes and what she has to deal with on a daily basis of being an addict, a prostitute, or basically a hoe, which people used to call her. And that's not me sitting there saying that about her. It's just basically what people used to call her on a daily basis. They just felt that that's all she was good for, was getting high, getting drunk, and basically laying on her back, turning tricks. And it's crazy. And it's like I didn't start thinking about that until I wrote that poem, and basically having to step outside myself and basically like, yo, my mom dealt with this. Like, she was also me, basically feeling like she, like her room was the only place and the only space that was safe enough for her to be herself, and basically be suffocated by those walls of no judgment, basically, because she had to, like, because even when she would try to get on the right track, people still held her past against her and still pointed the finger like, yo, you're still this. And they wouldn't help her elevate and lift her up. They wasn't seeing the present change. They still held her feet to the fire of what she did in her past. And it's like, you can't do that with people. You have to sit there and let go and just basically see the growth. Now, if a person isn't doing that growth, then you, by all means, you have the right to sit there and hold their feet to the fire. But if that person is actually promoting change and trying to do right, then you have no point but to applaud them for that. And that's what I had to sit there and do when I was doing that for my mom. Like, if my tears could talk, it was basically me stepping outside myself and telling a story through her eyes, and me stepping back inside myself and just letting all that hurt, letting all that pain, letting all that devastation and animosity out, and not hold that grudge against her anymore, and just become indifferent towards it, and act and just be like, okay, what happened, but it's like, what have you learned from that, and how are you moving forward now, and how did you grow from that? And I definitely love this. I thought they did a phenomenal job. Jelly Roll and Bailee Ann killed this. And so with that being said, let me know what you guys thought of If Tears Could Talk by Jelly Roll featuring Bailee Ann in the comments below. And with that being said, please remember to be safe out there. Remember to stay awesome, be awesome, because you guys are all awesome. This is your boy Mark, and I'm signing off. Deuces. Peace.